Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, Krishna. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. It is great to see you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for coming and joining us today. I knew you had a little bit of Zoom. Zoom can act up on us. All of us have gone through that, so I totally get it. But we appreciate you being here. Thank you. Everybody, I would love to introduce our next speaker for the day, Krishna Powell, founder and CEO of HR for Your Small Biz. Fondly referred to as the multi-gen leader, Krishna Powell eh, runs HR for Your Small Biz, a boutique style human resource consulting and talent development firm. Krishna has been featured on CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Career Builder, Glassdoor, and is a faculty member at the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, where she teaches entrepreneurs how to manage the human resources function of their business. Krishna is a nationally renowned subject matter expert on managing a multi-generational, multicultural workforce. She facilitates talent development programs and coaches clients throughout the world, outside of US, France, China, Africa, UK, and Singapore. So welcome, Krishna. The stage is all yours. We look forward to your session.
Thank you so very much, and I hope you can see me now. Well, it is definitely my pleasure. We're going to hop into it since technology didn't cooperate. So, as you know, you are here attending the workshop Human First, AI Forward. And we're going to be talking about how to build workforce strategies that scale without losing culture, trust, or profit. And so, as she shared with you, my name is Krishna Powell. I literally have had the privilege of doing these workshops around the world. I believe you will find today's workshop to be different. You've heard people talk about generations, you've heard people talk about technology, but what I'm going to be sharing with you is the merging of the two and what I am seeing literally on a global scale. I am not just going to be reciting and regurgitating the information to you. I am going to be able to share with you best practices and what I am seeing firsthand that works in organizations, what my clients have used in order to, again, improve profits, productivity of their employees. Because if you think about it, in 2026, you are now required to do more with less. And so that is a heavy burden, a heavy load to carry. And so we're going to talk about all that that is. Just know I'm here to advise you, to support you. I do have, will be allowing time for questions. Some of you may say, Krishna, during this time, you're giving me everything I need. I'm good to go. Others may say, hey, I want a little bit more. Just know by the end of this presentation, I will have the more for you. So let's talk about the biggest risk. Most people think AI is the biggest risk. It is not. It really is the leadership and how leaders manage people in this AI environment. And so when we look at this, everyone is impacted. It doesn't matter if you are leading an organization, if you're building workforce systems, if you're developing technology, navigating your career, shaping policy. Everybody is impacted. If you're an employer, you're expected to align people and systems. If you're a workforce leader, you're expected to build capability. If you're a tech provider, you're expected to design for humans. And if you're just a worker in there, and I won't say just a worker, but if you're a worker, you're expected to adapt and build adaptability. And so again, no one is no one is not touched by this. The old way of thinking and how the workforce has changed is the fact that, back in the day, it used to be, hey, employer to employee. But now in today's workforce, we have a huge workforce. It's not just employers and work. When you look at workers, it's freelancers, it's those, the gig economy, contractors, part-time, full-time, interns, remote, hybrid. And then when you look at AI systems and workforce partners and policy, all of this together is what makes up our workforce. So it's not like how it has been in previous years. And not only that, but add to it the fact that we have literally four generations in the workplace. We technically have five because we still have a few traditionalists. They make up about 1% of the workforce population, and they usually come in 1 day a week, work a half a day, but they still make a valuable contribution. And so when you hear me talking about the workforce and the generations, this is what I'm talking about. We have our baby boomers, 10,000 baby boomers a day are eligible for retirement. We have my fabulous Gen Xers. That's my generation. We are considered the sandwich generation. Why? Because we are now taking care of our aging parents, as well as still taking care of our children, nieces, nephews, and things of that like. So we're dap smack in the middle of helping out two or sometimes three generations, because sometimes that even includes Gen Z. Then we have my millennials. My millennials right now, they make up the largest workforce. They also are growing in terms of being now the growing generation of leaders that we have. So many of them hold management positions or higher. Then we have my fabulous Gen Zers. They have just entered into the workplace. We also sometimes call them the iGen generation. They are the first true internet generation. They do not know what life was like before the internet. They don't know what life was like before Facebook. And so that's why sometimes we call them the iGen generation. And so those are generations I'm going to be talking about as a part of this presentation. The reason why I need to distinguish that, because as you can see here, the reality when it comes to how they use AI, how they view technology is different from generation to generation. Gen Z is adopting technology fast. Like I said, they're the internet generation. They basically were born, with the technology in their hand. But then when you look at millennials, they want to use AI. They are using AI, but they want it to be purpose driven. And then Gen X, for Gen Xers, I think because we're managing two and three different generations and being that sandwich generation, we needed to be practical for us. We needed to make our personal life easier as well as our work life easier. And then we have my baby boomers. My baby boomers still are very cautious about technology. Some are doing great in using it at the speed of light. Others, not so much. They still look at sometimes at AI as cheating, or there's going to be theft that's taking place, and they have all these ideas and misconceptions about AI technology. And so, as leadership, you have to understand that your biggest role is not in giving employees the technology, but bridging the gap in regards to how they use technology. Because if you don't, your organization is going to lose profit. And so, reality, when a Gallup poll recently took place, only 31% of the employees are truly engaged in the workforce. And then out of that, only really about 50% of them are using AI technology. And so, or at least using it properly to do their jobs. And so, again, it's important that you know what that looks like. And so, the workforce is changing, but leadership for the most part hasn't. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes our leaders today in 2026 are still managing and working with employees like it's 2006. A lot of our leaders are baby boomers. They have not yet made the full adjustment into understanding technology and how each generation, or even based off the role, how they can use technology in order to grow their business, in order to grow the department, in order to improve productivity, to increase revenue. They have not taken the time to really take a look at that. And so that is the key thing. It's not AI that's failing, it's that we have not made the progress that we need to make. And there's this illusion when it comes to AI also that many leaders have. Many leaders think, hey, Krishna, if I introduce AI, that's all I have to do is say it's available, make it available to them, and it's going to fix my poor performance. That is not correct. That is far from the truth. Um, what what AI does fix or help is that AI unleashes your employees who are high potential, high performing employees because it allows them to work smarter and not just harder. It allows even those who have not yet fully come into being a top performer to utilize the technology and figure out how can they do that. And so that's what it does. But it can't fix poor performers. If someone doesn't want to utilize technology, if someone doesn't want to embrace their role, if they are not doing any of the things to become a good employee, you can roll out all the technology you want, that it will not help them. And so there are different things that as leaders we have to overcome because, not only do they think it'll fix poor performers, but it doesn't automatically fix productivity. Again, it's how do we make sure employees are utilizing the technology? Have they been trained on how to use the technology in their specific roles to work smarter, to work more efficiently, to work more effectively? And a lot of times people think, well, you know what, Krishna, AI will, it's the talent shortage and AI will make up for it. Well, not necessarily. We still need people in certain positions to review the information that's coming out of AI, not only just to review it for accuracy, but also to make sure the implementation is correct. And again, sometimes it's not about, hey, I need to reduce my workforce, as it is make sure they are using it correctly for the job at hand. That's where the efficiency come in at. And that is how you will be able to reduce costs. But just rolling out AI will not make these things instantly happen. It will not automatically reduce costs or improve efficiency. There is some work that has to be done because if it does not happen, if you do not do the work behind the scenes with your employees, what happens is AI amplifies it. It causes more problems. And it's not AI's fault. It's really just the fact that the employees, your leadership team, your organization was not yet fully ready for what it looks like to utilize all that AI is able to do. And so, yes, we need strong systems in place. But here's the deal: when people think I say systems, they think, oh, it's just technology. No, no, no. We need both strong systems in regards to technology, but also our people systems. When these two are not in alignment, that's where we have the dysfunction take place. And so that's why when we look at workforce strategy, it fails, and AI technology and combined with workforce, it fails. That's why AI investments stall, because if your workforce isn't in agreement with it, if they don't understand how to use it for their job, and not just, hey, to get just this part of the job done, but really how they can use it from nuts to bolts, that is what makes the huge difference where they'll go, oh, well, I only use AI. You'll hear people using Chat GPT. I just use Claude to rewrite an email. That's it. Do you know how much more AI can do? And then not just the traditional Claude and chat, but there's other technology and tools, technological tools that our leadership as well employees need to be able to utilize. But again, if we don't roll this out the correct way, if we don't groom employees and show them and take the time to really develop them in regards to how to effectively use it, they do become disengaged. They look at AI as being one more thing I have to do, causing me more work, and they deal with all the frustrations. And then that's where you see that, again, you're not able to retain them, you're not able to develop employees. And so it's important that with your organizations and with those that you work with, you help them to understand it's not a technology issue. The technology works. We just have to get the people to work hand in hand with the technology without feeling threatened. That's the key right there. And so, again, that's why I say it's a leadership and workforce strategy. So, when we look at the reality, AI adoption is accelerating, but workforce expectations are shifting. And so, because workforce expectations are shifting, leaders, there's also a lag there for them. And so, that's why you see this quote here, this statistic from the Harvard Business Review that 70% of the transformation efforts do fail. And again, it's not because of the technology, it's because of leadership misalignment. Leadership not always fully understanding, again, even for themselves, how to utilize technology, how to introduce it to their employees. What does it mean to their department besides people looking at it as a threat to, oh, I'm no longer going to have a job? And that's the thing you have to help your employees overcome because that's the first thing they think of. This is why I love it. This is what it's going to take for no worker to be left behind. If they really understand how to use it, they will see you don't have to get left behind. It's an option for you. All you have to do is learn how to use it for your job, how to take it to the next level to help propel the business forward, to propel the department flow forward, and just use it again to work smarter. I think, and you'll hear me say that over and over again, especially for Gen Xers and baby boomers, because we learned the art of working hard. We are still adapting to that working smart because we were used to, hey, if we just get it done by any means necessary and we don't worry about we'll train later on. Well, no longer that is an option. We need to train today, work on it today. And so that is the point of what I'm trying to make. But without it, just let your leadership know what actually breaks when we don't do this right is communication, role clarity, trust, and performance expectations. All these things must be in alignment. Um, People need to clearly understand their role. We need to, a lot of times, again, leaders are even using it for communication, but they are not ensuring that what's communicated is actually being implemented. And so they use AI, they use the technology. Hey, I've drafted this communication, I've drafted this strategy, but AI is not yet able to get up and do the work actually for them from A to Z. And so we have to work with our leadership team on what does that look like? And does that shift individual roles? Does it change their roles? And making it clear to the employee how it changed their roles and what are the expectations. That is where the difference is made. So when we look at really the return on investment, the real problem is that yes, 98% of companies are investing in AI. But the sad part about it is 95% of them are not seeing any measurable results. And that's what we have to change. So that's why I created the hidden profit framework. I use this with different organizations and leaders to help them understand where the gap is, because there is a gap between workforce capability, meaning what people and systems can do, and then what leaders, what they actually are doing, what's actually being delivered, what's being produced. And so that's where it comes in at. It helps you to clearly identify for your business, for your organization, where is the gap occurring? And then we can say, okay, let's make changes. Let's make some adaptations. Let's do some development. Doing so, one client I worked with in less than 6 months, we had an immediate return on investment where retention employees was reduced literally by 25% in less than 6 months. And then productivity went up by 34%. And so they at one point had their high potential employees, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but those employees, they were literally turning in their resignations. It was like almost one every 4 to 6 weeks. And so it was scary for them. So that's why I say we have to make sure we're not underutilizing the talent and the expectations are clear and we're engaging those high performers. High performers, according to statistics, they literally bring in about 70% of the revenue, generate about 70% of the revenue for every business. Why? Because they do the job of not one and two people, but literally three and four people. Because again, they're your top performers, your high performers, as well as your what we call your high potential employees, your future leaders. They also as well contribute to that number, as well as what I call your hidden impact employees who maintain the culture. And so we need to make sure all three of them understand how to use the AI technology that you have and are using it effectively and efficiently. Because if you think about it, AI is across the entire workforce system. It's from decision making, talent analytics, recruiting, the employee experience, all of it. And so we always have to think about how are we adding AI, but not only that, are we redesigning the workflows to make it so that when AI is introduced, it does not fail? Our integration is failing because of that. And that's where we're seeing anywhere from a 15% impact on your revenue. Think about it. If you are a $10 million business or even a $100 million business, 10 to 15%, that's 10 to $15 million a year going out the door. And so it's not enough to say we have Pilot, Microsoft Pilot or Chat GPT. It's how is leadership using it, interpreting the data, and using it to work more effectively. And the same goes for recruiting technology, talent recruitment technology, anything from Workday, using that to predict turnover and identify high potential employees. Like I said, AI can identify it, but what do you do once they've been identified? You group them into a category, but many organizations pause and they stop working with them. And so I just want to say, again, you see this picture here. I love this picture. It's not enough to have the tools. If your leaders do not have the correct tools, they're going to hit their fingers and they're going to hurt themselves. So, these are the pillars that I want you to keep in mind. I know I'm down to the last few minutes, but I wanted to share this with you. I know I don't have time to go through all four, but I want to take a look at one to two of them real quick. Clarity. We got to make sure there's clarity. I talked about that with the roles. If not, it causes confusion, which then delays work, causes frustration, arguments, and all the things that you see happening in the workplace and the pause. That's where it's hitting your profits at. Leadership, again, consistent communication across the generations. When we don't do that and making sure we adapt, that's where the disengagement occurs. When you do these things, again, we see significant increases in regards to retention, in regards to engagement. Those organizations on a global level who utilize AI correctly, who do the things I just shared with you, they are literally seeing $9.6 trillion being generated in productivity when you have a fully engaged workforce using AI correctly. And so when I talk about the hidden profit, it is measurable, it is recoverable. And so keep this strategy in mind. I know I said a lot in a very short time, but just know, I told you, you may not have everything that you need at this point. I got you covered. For those of you who say, Krishna, I want to learn more, I want to learn more about this, we can continue the conversation. I'm even willing to share my slide decks with you without a problem. There's the webinar information. There's the LinkedIn information. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Samuel, my admin, will reach out to you and give you the information that you need, send you the slide decks and everything. So I know I have just a few seconds.
I think we're gonna do a couple minutes, but I'm
Okay.
gonna see if anybody has a question, but I did have a question.
Yes.
If anybody else has a question, please go for it. If not, I'm gonna ask mine. Okay, quiet. All right. So that's my turn then. I'm gonna ask that question. So Krishna, quickly, I think typically based on, of course, great insights. A couple of points definitely resonated with me. One big thing I think with the whole AI adoption is usually the employees' fear of becoming obsolete or
Hmm.
out of the race, right? So when redesigning job roles, I guess what day one leadership conversation should take place that shifts this from you're going to go, it's going to be replacing you versus this is going to actually help you in your career, unlock new parts of your career.
Hmm. So the conversation should go something like this. As you know, in today's workforce, we are required to work smarter, and we also want to help you work more efficiently. Although some aspects of your job could potentially change, I want you, as you're looking at this technology, start thinking about how else can we take things to the next level? How else can we grow your skills and even look at moving you forward with the technology that we have? And so encouraging them so that they don't feel like I just need to give up. They've already replaced me. And know
Mm-hmm.
that let me take a look at this. Okay, maybe this role here is no longer fit because AI can do most of this,
True.
but I may be able to go to this other department here. Or if I mastered this area of technology, now I can become the subject matter expert and now can go around training people and even extend the life of me being here at the organization for another year or even 2 years, because now I'm raising my hand to volunteer to go into organizations or go into the different departments and teach them how to utilize it and what exactly can they do. And I'm able to see not just the trees, but the whole forest. I'm able to connect the dots and show them, wow, this is what it means to my department, but this is how it's going to impact your department. And
Sure.
so let me come over here and show and develop and really show the knowledge and the expertise in that. Again, I can bring this all together and really understand on a larger scale, again, connecting the dots. That makes employees feel good, other than hearing, we no longer have use for you. Challenge them to learn more, to implement, and to figure out ways that, okay, what isn't the technology doing that we
Sure.
need to think about?
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I know there is a question in the chat. If you wouldn't mind responding to that, books and podcasts that are deeply informative. That's from Rodney Jenkins. So thank you so much today. This was wonderful. I look forward to connecting with you on LinkedIn, for sure. And I will maybe take some more insights from you offline.
Sonia,
Excellent.
we
Thank you.
might have a few more minutes as
Ah, oh,
Tiffany is still
wonderful.
joining. So
Okay.
we are lucky that ways.
Yeah, Krishna. All right. So if you want to address that question, please go ahead.
So, what I first recommend for Rodney, where you asked about books and podcasts are deeply informative on this topic. One book that I recommend that all leaders read is Irrationality. Um, I don't have it's actually in there because the reason why I recommend reading that book is because it helps you as a leader to understand the irrational emotions and feelings and things people say when the technology is being introduced, and to help you prepare as a leader or even as an individual for yourself. And even going through it, it can be emotional. How do you manage through that? And so it's a great book. Predictable Irrationality is fabulous for it. um Also, another book I recommend is one of those that are recommended for parents, but it also still applies to it applies to adults, is How to Reset Your Child's Brain. And so it talks about using technology to reset the brain in regards to taking it out of that fight or flight mode and that fear to embracing it. You can use a lot of those things even when rolling it out, again, technology, and encouraging your team and individuals to use it and see themselves using it and the value that it brings. So I hope that helps.
Yep. And
Um,
I think Chloe had a question. I put it in the chat, but I'm going to jump on to our next speaker as well. I see
okay.
her here. So thank you, Krishna. We'll
Thank
definitely
you.
connect with you again in a bit.
Okay.
But